This is a true story that happened in my town. So this one Wednesday is like a normal day for the whole school. But today was different. Every other class had all their kids. But Mrs. Gandy's room was totally empty. And you know why? Because the night before, at 2:17 in the morning, every kid woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, and into the dark. And they never came back.
We interrupt this program to bring you...
All right, everybody, my name is Kevin.
And my name's John.
And we are the Real Movie Guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Review, the series where we review and discuss all your favorite movies. On today's episode, we're taking a look at Weapons. When all but one child from the same class mysteriously vanish on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearances. John, very few movies this year have surprised me. I feel like I've said that a couple times at this point, but Weapons was the one I expected a really good surprise. Getting director Zach Cregger coming back and making another movie where I'm not sure what to expect. The last one from him obviously being Barbarian, which was a pretty good movie. I really did enjoy that being surprising and whatnot. So Weapons, I really didn't know what to expect. The trailer was, as I described, pretty much exactly that scenario. A bunch of kids go missing, and you're kind of left with this mystery of like, why did it happen? It's really weird and really odd and really disturbing. I expected a horror movie, and yeah, I got a horror movie, but I also got a really good like black comedy, a good commentary piece, a really deep thinking kind of film. And even the way it's shot, from the visuals to just the way the story is told, I think are really intriguing and really special. Weapons super surprised me, man. And I gotta tell you, besides a few things towards the end, I had a really good time with this movie. It's definitely up there with one of my favorite movies of the year so far.
Yep, I would have to agree. I was looking forward to it. I enjoyed Barbarian quite a bit, mainly because I like movies that don't tell you immediately which direction they're going. And there was a big turn in Barbarian, not to spoil the specifics of that story. But, you know, what was kind of interesting about this one was same thing. There's a turn at a point in the movie where it heads in a direction that I would not have anticipated, but honestly, it was less drastic, and so it felt more cohesive as a movie. It's just the place it ended up at was so wild compared to what I would have predicted.
Right, and I think it's really tough for a movie like this. So going into this, as I stated before, I really didn't know anything as far as what they were going to do with storytelling. I expected, just a straightforward horror mystery movie, more or less. That's not what we got here at all. And what it manages to pull off with the way they tell the story is it's multiple perspectives. You get a couple different characters, and the story is told almost layer by layer, each character. So we get a little bit of the story kind of stops, then we kind of pick up from kind of the same spot and move forward. And that's really hard to do. I don't know if you people at home truly realize how difficult it is to do that, especially in film, and to make that compelling, right, John? Because I think that's something that can always be kind of like off-putting, right? Especially when you're seeing the same kind of information from a different perspective. You have to make that interesting, right?
And it has the problem of being able to fail two ways.
Yeah.
Which is, way one would be over-explaining, over-showing, getting kind of rote and boring by the end of it, because you're like, yeah, I know, I get it. I've already seen this, twice or whatever. And then the other way is your audience is completely lost. They're watching these events and they feel like they're disconnected, don't make any sense. I don't understand how this led to this.
Right.
But one of the most enjoyable things that I felt watching this movie was like, I get it. It's respecting my intelligence that I'm able to follow along. And it felt like you were making connections yourself and going, oh, I get it now, rather than ever being confused or ever being bored.
Yeah, and it's one of the few movies I will say, and I'm not trying to be all like high and mighty here, like, I'm never confused in a movie. There's a lot of movies lately I feel like I've watched, and I'm just like, I'm kind of confused with what's going on here. I never felt that way with this movie. Like, kind of like you said, it's just like each layer that we got, I got a little more of the story, and it respected my intelligence not to repeat everything it just told me. One of the cool things I thought it did with that was actually it would kind of like black out the screen for a little bit, and you'd hear like snippets of dialogue right up until the point of to get you kind of caught up to where they are in that scenario. And I like that a lot. I think that was a really good storytelling technique for this movie. And again, that in its of itself is super well done and super compelling. And the mystery itself already, just from the initial concept, I think is super compelling. But that's not all that you need with this kind of movie. And that's where this movie succeeds in its character work. I would say the acting on all fronts, phenomenal, honestly. Josh Brolin, I shouldn't be surprised pulling out the major dad card here and being the concerned father, and where his story kind of continues. And Julia Garner, who I'm really only familiar from, she was on a show on Netflix that I watched. Ozarks. I'm sorry. Ozarks. I watched a little bit of Ozarks with her. And more recently from Fantastic Four, I saw her in, which, she had a minor role as Silver Surfer, so I would put that as to anything. But she was really compelling. These characters felt very human and very realistic at times. And I think that's kind of what drew me in, along with this great mystery that the story was trying to tell.
Yeah, and they felt real, and they said things that were kind of funny in the movie because that's what somebody would really say in that situation, right? Unmovie-like. But also the characters were reasonable and intelligent enough that you were going along with what they were doing as they're trying to figure out what's going on. And I appreciate when I don't feel like I've had it figured out for 20 minutes and they're just coming around to it, right?
No, I mean, there's a point where I think the audience will be like, I kind of have an idea of what might be happening, and that's not really till the end, I would say, honestly. Probably that last fourth of the movie is really when you're like, oh, okay, I kind of see what's happening here. And in my opinion, I feel like that's where the movie fell apart a little bit. And we've talked about this prior to this. I remember bringing it up after we got out of the theater. I feel personally, when I've watched a new thing with the horror generation and the filmmakers that we have now, is a lot of them go for this kind of like subvert expectations kind of turning point in horror. I feel like it's almost weaning on cliche. I don't know if you feel the same way, where it's just like, all right, I'm watching this horror movie, then suddenly, bam, smack in the face. Okay, we're a totally different movie, and that's what we're going to give you. And I do like that. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy that. I think it's very compelling. In this movie, it does work significantly well. In others, not so much. It's like, okay, all right, I get it. You're changing your tone. But in this movie, I feel like it's kind of like, I feel like I've seen it before, but I'm okay to excuse it a little bit because it was done so well. I think that was kind of my caveat for that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think, like I said before, even compared to Barbarian from the same director, that it was, the world kind of feels wrong right from the beginning. Right. And so even when there's a turn in the direction or your understanding of the situation, it's kind of just like, wow, okay, there's another level to this. Wow, okay, there's another level to this, right? It didn't feel as much like, what are we doing here? Sometimes, which you sometimes get when things just completely flip and you have a total tonal, disconnect.
Right, and this movie doesn't really have that. I do think it feels a little odd, the ending, and I don't know how much the finale is earned, and it's a little crazy at the end, but it doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. I don't want that to come across, and I don't want to spoil it too much because I think it's something that people need to enjoy and need to see for themselves.
If you're interested in watching it, don't look up the ending.
But I think, again, just the way this movie just shines with the way that it portrays modern society, and it kind of the way it hooks you into its story. I really, it seems kind of boring, and like, Kevin, that's not super exciting what you're telling me here, but that's kind of the beauty of this movie, right? It's kind of inching that special niche in horror for me. It's got that itch where it's like hooking you in and then dragging you along for the ride, but it never feels boring. It just feels like it's slowly, methodically telling you this story that just builds up naturally over time. And it's pretty scary, honestly. There's a couple points where I'm like, all right, that was a good jump scare here and there, There's a lot of interesting and eerie imagery as well. Like, even just in the trailer, the way that these children are running through the street with a really awkward, physical position is just so odd. But
there, in some of those scenes, there's little plot hole type of things that I kind of picked up on that I was like,
Yeah.
well, that doesn't really make sense. That doesn't really make sense. But when the director or cinematographer is achieving that really cool look, that kind of you just got to buy into it and go, all right, the way they did it this way, or the reason they included this is honestly because it's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just some cool, interesting looking things going on in there.
Yeah, and I mean, you can tell for one thing for this movie, if you're a kind of a cinemaphile like us, one thing you'll see is the continuous shots are used a lot in this movie, and almost to the point where it's a little ad nauseum, where it's like, oh my god, all right, here another continuous shot. But I kind of forgive it again. Another thing I forgive in this movie is it creates such a sense of space. Everything feels like you kind of, they do this one thing where they go to a liquor store and they kind of show you the whole path of the liquor store, and it drags on for a little bit, and it doesn't really mean that much at first. No, not really. It's like, okay, we're following her, and it's tense. It is a form of tension because it feels like someone's following the character throughout the scene. But later on, you start to see kind of like a payoff to that when another character kind of jumps in, and you're like, oh, I know the same path that they're running. And I think kind of like subconsciously, I think it creates a sense of that fear, like how far they have to go to get to this character. And I think that's kind of the genius of the filmmaking that's going on here. And he does that a lot, Zach Cregger. You can tell he's definitely familiar with creating fear within the space, which again, I really do appreciate that. We don't get that with much modern horror now, I don't think.
I don't think that many directors approach horror in that way. So it's just unique to see it from that perspective.
Yeah, and I have to say another thing, the perfect dance partner, if you will, for horror has always been comedy, and it's here. It's not always super laugh out loud, but there were a few moments I got a genuine, like, really good chuckle.
Sure.
And I think that helps balance the horror, like, brilliantly in this movie, where you're probably pretty scared one moment, but then there's, like, a joke, but it doesn't undercut any of the horror. Like you said, it kind of feels like a natural funny. There's a scene where one character's getting attacked, and they're like, why aren't you helping me? Like if someone's just standing off to the side not helping. And you can't help but laugh at the black humor of the situation, right? Like, it's so dark and funny, but it's realistic too. So it's working on multiple levels. I, again, super appreciate that attention to detail that we get in this movie with that.
Yeah. And there's so much that's unnatural about the things that are going on, and the way that these people look who are kind of the, not villains, but the sort of horror characters of the movie, so unnatural looking that to have the humor come from just people acting so naturally it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, and the last thing too, I have to say also, this is kind of the thinking man's movie, which I also do appreciate as well, where it's a horror and a comedy. It can be enjoyed for that. It can just be straight enjoyed as a horror movie. Like, a casual person can go in, watch this movie, get what they need out of it, and leave. But if you want to dig deeper into the themes and to the visuals that are being portrayed on the screen, it's there for you. Me and you we were just talking about, like, different ideas and stuff. Like,
what does this mean? What do you think that was all about?
And
right.
There's so many theories. Like, you go on the Reddit forums for this movie, it's so fun to see, like, the different ideas that people have come up with. And are they right? Who's to say, really? I mean, Zach Cregger he confirmed one thing about the time in the movie, where it is a reference to something. But other than that, it's up to you, really, what you want to see this about, because it's incredibly deep. It really
and I
is.
believe there are some theories that I've seen that make a lot of sense, but I believe he's explicitly said, I'm just not going to tell you. Right. So you get to enjoy interpreting it as you will and thinking about it and kind of coming to your own conclusions.
And that's a special movie, I think. I think if you can cater to multiple different kind of cinema enjoying audiences, I think that's another really hard thing to do. Again, not just getting over the hurdle of what's the story way that you're telling this story, but the fact that you're able to appeal to so many different audiences, where I can watch it and be like, I just really like that horror. That was really scary and had a creepy character in there, and it was good for me. And then you could be like, well, I found the theming of whatever to be super uplifting and super dark. And it's good that we can have those kind of audiences kind of interact with one another, because a lot of movies are usually just either cut for one audience or cut for another. But Weapons, I think, is special and unique in that way, where it can cater to both. And I can't say that for many movies, honestly.
Yeah, it has some depth to it, right? You can chew on it a bit.
Yeah, so I think we've talked. I don't want to talk. This is one of those rare cases. I don't want to talk too much about Weapons. If you guys do want a spoiler review, let us know. I think that's something maybe we could try out in the future. Maybe we'll just do like a spoiler video and just talk about some theories and shoot it around. Let's put a goal. Let's say give me 200 views. I think that's fair. Give me 200 views, right, on this video. If we get to that point, me and John will put out a little spoiler video, and we'll just talk about weapons and talk about some of our other thoughts and stuff like that. But with that all being said, John, I'm ready to put my number on this one. I'm going to go ahead and give Weapons a 9 out of 10. I think this movie's really good. I really did enjoy it. Like I said, I think the main thing that really kind of faltered for me more than anything else, I think the ending, and that's going to probably be what makes or breaks it for a lot of people. I think everyone will enjoy the majority of the movie. Once you get to the ending, either you'll really like it, you'll think it's okay, or bleh. You know, it's kind of one of those things. And I happened to fall kind of in the middle. I thought it was okay, but everything else that this movie does is just absolutely phenomenal. I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed all the acting. The cinematography was like walking into a dream at times with this movie. It was really that good. I can't express enough how special it is for a director who's this is like his sophomore outing with a movie. Really, the only thing he ever did else was Barbarian. And his second movie, he's able to nail something special with the horror genre that appeals to every kind of audience. And, you know, it's just so expertly crafted. Zach Cregger's definitely on my watch list for directors. And if this movie's that good, if we did a jump from Barbarian, which I thought was pretty decent, to Weapons, which I think is fantastic, that only gives me hope for what else he's going to make. He's probably got some great ideas up in there. But yeah, I highly recommend this. I think you should check it out as soon as you can. John, what do you think on this one?
Yep. I agree with you. Certainly a great idea, and certainly great execution, right? Great laying out of the idea that he had. For that, I would give this movie an 8.8. So right up with you at your 9. I enjoyed it a lot. I look forward to watching it again, which I think is one of the highest bits of praise you can give a movie, right? I want to watch it again and see what I think the second time.
Yeah, and it's hard. I was kind of with your score too. I was in between the 8 and the 9 there, and I think it just pushed it just a little bit extra for that 9. I can't deny the expert craftedness of this movie. It really stands out to me when we left the theater, and just like you said, we were talking about it, and then just me. I told you before we did the review, like, I need to reflect on this movie and like really think about what I want to say. And I realized I don't want to say too much because I want other people to enjoy it, and I think that's how this movie's best enjoyed. Even if you can just avoid a trailer, I'd even recommend that. The poster alone is enticing enough for what this movie's going to be, and I think more people should enjoy it. And again, this also just kind of compounds the fact for me, horror is one of the best genres in movies today. They're taking the most risks. We're seeing the most payoff, whether it's bad or good. We're getting something different every time, most of the time, for horror. The other genres kind of should take notes a little bit, because I think they need to see what's going on here. This horror is definitely for the cinema goer more so than any other genre going on today. But what I need to know in the comments below is, what did you think of Weapons? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What do you think of Zach Cregger? Do you think he's doing a great job? I know people are mixed on Barbarian, which I kind of understand that movie being a little mixed as well. John, I don't know how I know you said you enjoyed it too, but I was definitely a little more mixed on that one than I was walking out of this movie.
I think Weapons shows growth from the fertile soil of Barbarian.
Yeah, definitely a maturity and, kind of sticking to the script and sticking to your themes and whatnot. I think Weapons does a better job than Barbarian. Yeah. Barbarian went a little off the road at times, but again, nonetheless, definitely enjoyable because it was something different. But I need to know from you guys, what did you think? Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that jazz for us. My name's Kevin. That guy's John. We are your Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. We'll see you in the next one.
If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, you should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.